Welcome back to my channel. This is very interesting. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt engages in a series of heated exchanges with journalists, particularly one whom she labels quote-unquote a left-wing activist. Take a listen what she's saying here.
On one of my colleagues who asked you about the president's interview with lawyers, you said that he was joking about canceling the elections, but Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation, and only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question in that way.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack.
Left-wing reporter? Like, is there something called left-wing reporter when it comes to the killing of a US citizen? I mean, this is unbelievable. This woman, she doesn't have any answers. So what she does is follow her boss's playbook, which is blame others. It is always Democrat. It is always those election rigging because I won the election. It is always about somebody else. It's not my fault because of them. Look, I am miserable.
You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist.
Two questions. First of all,
Left-wing? You are a left-wing activist. You should not be asking any questions. So a journalist asked about the president's proximity to launching strikes on Iran and whether Gulf states influenced his decision. Leavitt responds by dismissing media speculation based on anonymous sources, stating that only the president and a small team know his true intentions, and he continues to monitor the situation. Take a listen.
Follow up on one of my colleagues who asked you about the president's interview with lawyers. You said that he was joking about canceling the elections, but Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation, and only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question in that way.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're...
So basically, if you add 100 cash pedal when it comes to responding to their lack of taking responsibilities for their duties, if you add 10 cash pedal, you get 1 Caroline Leavitt. She is master of lies.
Journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat, but you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Lake and Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our community safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Yeah, I mean, this is how she operates, right? It is not the illegal aliens who are committing crimes. It is also US citizen. It is also white American, black American. They never talk about those things. It is just, one illegal immigrant did something wrong in the neighborhood. Oh my God, look, they are danger to our society. But what about those US citizens committing crime every single day, killing each other.
Kelly.
Two quick questions on Iran. I wanted to ask first, just if you can say, how close was the president to potentially launching strikes last night, and was it the Gulf states that convinced him not to do that, as some of the region there have said?
Well, look, Kelly, I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about what the president is going to do at any given moment or any given night. And I would say a lot of these stories, to be honest with you, I've been reading them, and they've been based on anonymous sources who are pretending or guessing to know the president's thinking. The truth is, only President Trump knows what he's going to do, and a very, very small team of advisors are read into his thinking on that. And as I just told you, he continues to closely monitor the situation on the ground in Iran. And as we saw yesterday, he had heard that the killings and executions would stop. And we have seen 800 people, their lives have been spared as a result of that. The president continues to closely monitor, but also keep all of his options on the table.
So I'll tell you what is in the mind of President Donald Trump at the moment about Iran. He's not going to strike Iran because his Zionist masters, they don't want him to do so. Netanyahu just made a statement calling President Donald Trump on the phone. I think they spoke, and he said to him, don't strike Iran, because if Iran retaliates, then the whole region will be in a mess. So yeah, this is what is going on in Trump's mind. He's just waiting for the Zionist green signal.
Caroline, two separate questions.
Sure.
On the Machado meeting first, what is it that the president feels that he needs to hear from her or from the opposition party that he hadn't heard prior to today, or he wanted to hear in the meeting, to be able to convince him to commit to some sort of a timeline for elections?
I'm not sure the president is going into such the meeting with expectations like you just laid out, Fran. I don't think he needs to hear anything from Ms. Machado. I think generally this is a meeting that the president was willing to take and willing to accept, to meet Ms. Machado in person and to just have a frank and positive discussion about what's taking place in Venezuela. That's all.
And on the subject of Greenland, Jeff Landry, the president's special envoy for Greenland, wasn't in the White House meeting yesterday. Can you say why that was, and what exactly the role he is playing in these conversations about acquiring Greenland?
Well, the vice president and the secretary of state were present for that meeting, and the meeting, it was a productive meeting. It was a good meeting, and in that meeting, the two sides agreed to really establish a working group of individuals who will continue to have technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. Those talks will take place, I'm told, every 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a conversation the administration intends to keep having with the Danes and with the respected delegation from Greenland. But the president has made his priority quite clear. He wants the United States to acquire Greenland. He thinks it's in our best national security to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what is happening. Greenland's minister just made a statement, and she met with some of the U.S. Delegation, and she said pretty much very clearly that Greenland will not be an American entity. She made it very, very clear that we will not go to war. We want negotiation, we want talk, we want dialogue, but at the same time, she was very, very firm in her stance that Greenland will never be part of the United States, will never be American, quote unquote, will never be American. So when Leavitt is saying, oh, the conversation is going and this is happening, we are going to acquire, the acquisition of Greenland is going to happen, she is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, lying.
There have been multiple instances of American citizens being detained by ICE, and I'm wondering what the administration is asking the agency to do, or what steps is the administration asking the agency to take to ensure that Americans are not wrongly arrested?
Obviously, ICE is focused on detaining individuals who are unlawfully present in the country, and there have been hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens who have been arrested and detained and deported from this country by ICE over the course of the last year, and that's their intention and that is their goal.
Elizabeth. Thank you, Caroline. What about Greenland reportedly sent troops over there? Does that change at all what the president is doing on this? And then the second question, yesterday in a Senate help hearing, Senator Josh Hawley repeatedly asked a doctor if men can get pregnant, and she did not directly answer that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to your first question on Greenland, I don't think troops in Europe impact the president's decision-making process, nor does it impact his goal of the acquisition of Greenland at all. To your second question, I mean, anyone in their right mind with common sense who's speaking honestly and candidly will say that men cannot get pregnant, and I think I can attest to that myself. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions on Minneapolis.
And then go ahead.
Two questions on Minneapolis. One on the ICE agent, the other on the rioting. I believe last night there were protesters or rioters that rifled through an FBI car, took weapons. We had a reporter embedded with ICE who said that she saw constant harassment all evening. Can you speak to the rhetoric we're hearing from Democrat politicians, whether they are causing violence against ICE, as well as some of the headlines we have seen not including a full story?
Yeah, I mean, to your first point, I think I've addressed that these Democrat governors and mayors in not just Minnesota, but in states across the country are essentially, they've referred to ICE agents who, again, are brave men and women. And I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage Governor Walz and other Democrats who are demeaning law enforcement to sit down and have a cup of coffee with an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent. These are great, patriotic men and women who have families, who put on the uniform every day and are following our nation's immigration laws at the direction of their bosses and again, at the direction of the law. They are simply trying to enforce.
They're putting on the uniform and also putting on the mask every single day. Why you are masking yourself, terrorizing people? I mean, that's a very easy way to put panic in people's hearts and minds. When you don't show your face, you carry guns, and you come across as someone who is a complete goon.
The law.
Guys, this is absolutely horrendous press briefing. This is not what a press secretary should be doing when she is talking. Like, you are left-wing activist, you are this, you are that, and then when she's asked a question that she likes, this is what we have to talk, and that is that the Democrats are bad. Subscribe for more videos.